Just a young gun with a quick fuse. I was uptight, wanna let loose. I was dreaming of bigger things and wanna leave my old life behind. Not a yes sir, not a follower. Fit the box, fit the mold, have a seat in the foyer. Take a number. I was lightning before the thunder.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome. This is another episode this week of the Weekly Brew. So today, I'm not going to even talk about anything that's been going on in spring training. I did that on Tuesday, and if you want to go back and look at it, feel free. It was episode 6. But anyways, guys, we have Kevin Sweeney, who I touched on would be in the office today, in the studio. He is the general manager of the New York Mets. He's been in our league for almost a year. He came in last year right before the season was to go, and he pretty much had to get on his horse. But anyways, guys, Kevin, he is the general manager of the Mets. He's been very active in this community. I love seeing him chat. He's a great guy. So, Kevin, welcome on, my friend.
Yes, good evening, Zach, and thank you for inviting me on your show today. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Yes, sir. I do appreciate you taking your time to come in. But let's go ahead and just start off exactly where I was kind of hinting to start this entire thing. You were hired by the Mets, just days before the 2017 season. I know you had really no say about who in the world was playing, but what were your projections? What did you expect was actually going to happen in a league that you just jumped in?
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, coming into the season last year, so late, it was very difficult, if not almost impossible, to put your own stamp on the team coming in right at the regular season start. So that being said, when I looked at the roster and looked at our division, and especially with the start we had in the very first series, against the Braves, your Braves, we didn't look good at all. And that first month, I think we never got out of our own division, and started off in the hole very early. And it looked like it was going to be a very long season for the Mets. And based on that, we knew we were in for a long haul. So the good news with that was that we were forced into making some moves based on some players just not performing. Rozier, for instance, David Wright. We ended up replacing. We actually put Rozier back down into AAA. We put Devon Travis in at second base, and we also put rookie Urena in place of David Wright, and those two players offensively gave us some spark. And then we looked at rookie Wainoa, the pitcher, who made his first full season in the major leagues and ended up having a 13-7 record with a 3.20 ERA, and he was, while fourth in the lineup, he was certainly kind of the guy that we relied on through the season. Early on, even Harvey struggled, came on strong in the back end of the season, but it was Yanoa that really carried the starting rotation for us for most of it. Bullpen-wise, we were pretty solid, and obviously the closer for us was fabulous, and probably one of the best closers in the game. But it really wasn't until after the All-Star break that we really caught on and found ourselves in this having this wonderful season. Really realized that we had a shot at the wild card, and it was an exciting race with the Reds, and we ended up losing in the wild card matchup. But it was fun to have that kind of back end of the season after having such a tough start to the season.
Yeah, man. You touched on it. You made stuff happen. You moved guys along. I mean, I know it has to be tough when you look at David Wright, and I don't know what he was owed last year, but this year going into it, he's got the $20 million price tag on his head, and he's hitting, you know, nothing like he did earlier in his career. I mean, you see him fall off significantly, and injuries could definitely be a factor for that. But anyways, a 1.1 WAR for him, and another one that obviously catches your eye is Jose Reyes just sitting over here. I mean, he only played in 73 games last year. He only started 56 of them. Granted, he did have some injuries, but again, he's got the, don't know what it was last year, but this year's $22 million price tag on his head, and he had a negative 3.3 WAR. I mean, it's just incredible how these guys are just dropping out like flies once they go over 30 years old. But you touched, like I said, you hit some good stuff. You had Travis. He came in. He did very good for you. Finished the year with a 287 average. Had a 3 WAR. Getting paid peanuts. And then you've got Urera, who also came in and played in the outfield. Where in the world? Get to him here. He came in, he played, he did very good, stepped in the role after never really hitting like that at the big league level. But anyways, he came up, he got you some good work in, 1.2 WAR out of him. And you talked about your young starter in Yona, the 24-year-old. He had over 200 innings for you, and he literally never stepped foot in the big leagues, but you put him in there for 200 innings, and he was really a production piece on him. I remember when I played you this year, I was like, I think it'll be fine. I don't have to worry about him so much, but he turned out being a headache near the middle to end of the year. I really got tired of seeing him come around. And you touched on Harvey as well. Harvey's always been a very crucial piece for the Mets, and he destroyed last year. You might have said he started slow, but I never saw it. 6.2 WAR, 224 innings, which might be a little bit for him, but this is a game, so we'll see. And then a 2.67 ERA. I mean, he really, strikeouts are as high as they've been in 5 years or 4 years. Walks have been as low as they've been in that same 13 season. I mean, he absolutely came back and performed like a beast for you. So he's always something that you want to be really happy about. Then you got DeGrom as well. So yeah, you could see how this team can turn it around with the young pieces like Urena or Travis coming in and able to contribute. And you also had other guys that came in for a first full year, like Alpin here. He 273 hitter, and I believe he was last year, but still came up and produced after 2016 at a .216 average, Lagores. So again, great stuff, and I mean you're touching on it. When the guys don't perform, it might be time to move it along, because after that All-Star break, you made your changes. You were really somebody I had to look out for in the East, other than I had everybody to look out for, but besides the Marlins. But again, it was you really turned that team around for what you had, and you did a great job, man. All right, so question number 2, man. What were moves you wanted to take care of for this upcoming season?
Yeah, so coming into this season, it was tough. I mean, we didn't have, we're a team that's strapped for cash. We also didn't have a lot of money to go out into the free agent market. So really the biggest move we made was a couple of them. One was actually bringing back first baseman Luca Duda, who we tried to re-sign last year while he was on the roster, but he was asking for way too much money. We let him go to free agency. We actually were able to pick him back up in free agency for $1.4 million. Nice bat, hit 20 plus home runs for his last season. Had a horrible average, but defensively was solid. So we were happy to bring him in as insurance, knowing that Danny Schaefer's gonna potentially get an opportunity this year from AAA to show what he can do. But Duda gives us some experience at that first base position. So that was kind of our first key acquisition, so to speak, this season in free agency. The biggest move we made was bringing in Roderick Shoulders from the Rangers. young guy who made a first appearance into the major leagues last year, and has been solid in AAA. So those were really the two biggest moves, and the Shoulders one was the biggest move we made this offseason. We kept our starting, pitching pretty much the same, brought in a couple of younger pitchers, more for bullpen help. But Shoulders and Duda were our big signings this offseason.
Yeah, when you're strapped on cash, stuff happens, and you got to make sure you can take care of yourself. But like I said, as long as the guys perform, and I do. You talked about bringing back. He's the guy that can be there, be a leader. If he can even find a way to perform like he did in 16 off the bench, that's really good performance that he had. He strikes out once a game, but he walks a ton. So just if he can find a way to get back to 16 at that price, he would be a great contributor, especially since he can be defensive in a defensive league. And also you touched on Shoulders, and I like Shoulders. I really do like Shoulders. I know my scout isn't crazy about his contact, but I think he performed last year very good at the 3 levels he was at. I mean, look at this. Only 13 games, so sample is so small here. But, he was able to perform. And then now he's at AAA the entire season almost. And he put up incredible numbers with 35 home runs. I mean, he hit over, 50 home runs last year? I can't count, 48. He hit 48 home runs last year. So, actually, no, we're good. Okay, and so he's going to have his first full year. I believe you're going to put him up there. I think he'll be somebody really good to have, and especially when you talked about, Schaefer. Schaefer's the first guy for you. You'll bring up. Never really done a whole lot, in my opinion. He's being pushed very fast, so maybe he'll figure it out. I know he's 24 years old, and it looks like his stuff is pretty much at the height of where it's going to be. So maybe he can be really good for you. So I do appreciate that. And I want you to, if you don't mind, Shoulders. Like I said, I think he was an offensive force last year. I like him in my eyes. What do you expect? Is he a fluke compared to last season or even the season before, where you see he had 100 same games, aged being not really a huge difference? But do you think it's a fluke, or are you really set on this guy?
Yeah, so it's interesting when it comes to Roderick Shoulders. I get what you're saying. He is an offensive force. Is it a fluke? Time will tell. He certainly has all the tools to be a very strong offensive player in the major leagues. We love the flexibility he will give us as a team, because he can slot in and play first base if for some reason Duda's struggling at the plate. If Schaefer, the rookie, struggles, we have some insurance potentially with Shoulders filling into that slot too. And with him being a left fielder, if he happens to struggle, we have Reyes and Cicilline that can fill in that role. But we expect some good things from Shoulders this year. He does have incredible home run power, and I think coming into the Mets, where we do seem to be involved in a lot of close games due to a strong rotation with the likes of Harvey, DeGrom, Montanaro, and Yanoa as our top 4, and then Gil Martin filling in as a 5th, who may be someone that we actually have to rotate in and out with some other starter here in that 5th spot. But we think Shoulders can be a big help to us, overcoming some of those one-run games that we lost last year, and we lost quite a few of them. So time will tell if his output was a fluke, but in the minors, I mean, in 16 and 17, he certainly showed that he has the power. He hit 26 home runs in AAA in 2016, and 35 home runs in AAA in 17, and actually performed very well in Major League for for the Rangers. So we hope for some good things out of Shoulders this season.
Yeah, and you touched on flexibility and one-loss games. I'm in the exact boat you are, my friend, and I looked to add that kind of power too. But yeah, no doubt about it. I think he's a quality player. I think he can contribute. I really do at the major league level. Let's just see if he can have a full season up there that he can able to really push himself to to be the guy that I think he can be, and I know that you think he can be. But anyways, man, last question, and I'll leave you be. Do you want to share your hopeful projections for this season and how you expect it might turn out for you?
Yeah, boy, predictions for this upcoming season. It could well be another, well, I should say another tough season. We actually had a great season last year. Um, but looking at our division, the Nationals are once again going to be the team to beat, and will should win our division. Um, all the experts put us in the basement of the division. I mean, as is every GM out there going into the season. I'm a lot more optimistic than those predictions. The Braves, your Braves, have actually retooled and made some very shrewd moves this offseason and look much stronger. So if things fall into place, Shoulders does what we think he can do this season. Our starting rotation continues to be as strong as it was last year, and we can turn those one-run losses and extra inning losses that we had last year into wins. We could quite easily be competing for a wild card spot again, and if we do make that, I would like to see us make a get beyond that wild card game and make a little run in the off season in the playoffs. And I think we have some talent on this team that defensively we are a very talented team defensively. You've got Lagunas, in center field, and Champ Stewart, who's coming up this year to potentially help out, has also looked good in spring training. We have some good young talent on the team ready to come in and help, and this is going to be a fun season. I'm looking forward to it, and I think we can certainly once again repeat what we did last season, and I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely, and I would like to touch on your youth and the talent that you said you have coming up. You have, and I didn't go through every single person, but this is just on this page alone. You've got Gil Martin, Yona, Urena, Shoulders, Schaefer, and there's much more guys that have never spent an entire season up in the major leagues. So you have, and I went and looked at it. Your ages, they're not low compared to other teams. Then you can go check that out on Stats Plus, guys. But the age, you're not low. I think you're about the 10th highest in age. But it's the youth and the experience that you don't necessarily have at the major league levels, but you do have them sprinkled in, salt and pepper, But again, youth can help or it can hurt. And if they continue to do what they did last year, like I said, Urena came up and he really pounded it on. You got Travis came up and did the same thing. Again, first full season up there. Alpin was his first full season. And, you got Schaefer, who will be his first full season as well. And you can continue to go down the list with Shoulders and even, like you said, Stewart and whatnot. And then you go to your pitching rotation, Yona, even though he had 200. I guess he had his first full season. But Gil Martin's another one for you. He's been up and down, and he hasn't been too productive, but he hasn't been horrible either. He's definitely bottom of rotation guy. But anyways, man, Kevin, I appreciate you coming on, spending your Thursday morning with us over here at the Weekly Brew. And, buddy, I just wish you the best of luck this season. And, yes, sir. Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, no, again, thank you for having me on, Zach. This has been a real pleasure. Always great to have the opportunity to talk about a baseball and the New York Mets. I would say good luck to you and your Braves this season, but hopefully you're going to be looking up at the Mets in the National League East standings this season. But again, I appreciate the time and this great show and good luck. Thank you.
Yeah, Kevin, I would love to not look at you from a below, and vice versa. You would love to not see me from below. But anyways, guys, that was Kevin Sweeney. He's the New York Mets general manager. He, like I said, first full seer. He's actually been able to control this team for an entire year. So now it's in Kevin's part to make sure he performs exactly how he envisions it in his mind. All right, guys. So again, that was Kevin Sweeney. This is another episode of the Weekly Brew. I had 2 this week. This one was strictly for my interview. I do have another Jim Miller. He should be on next week with me, and we'll talk about the Padres. He is spanking new to SSG. I don't even know if he's been here a month. But he's going to be on. We're going to have some fun. We're going to talk about his team. And then we might as well just talk about how the season's going to be going for everybody. So, again, if anybody wants to be involved, just reach out to me. I'll get you some questions. We'll get this thing taken care of, and you can have a little fun in the process. I'm enjoying it. I get to really look at other teams. I'm not going to lie. Before, I didn't look at everybody in depth. Now I got to look at them a little bit to see what's going on so I can talk about them. And there's a lot of talent out there that's, even though the scouts might not agree, they perform on the field. But anyways, I appreciate everybody taking their time for this. And announcements, make sure you get ready because like I've said earlier this week, the new game is going to come out March 22nd. It's officially March. So get ready for that. Then we have to sign in on Stats Plus and then tell Paul that you've gotten on, guys. But anyway, spring training's here. We're having a lot of fun. I'm loving it. So, guys, just want to, reach out to you, tell you to come on, and let's keep working, okay? This is the Weekly Brew with Yaddo.